Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Welcome to the Sunshine Sisters podcast. My name's Kylie.
And I'm Sabrina.
We just wanted to introduce ourselves a little bit so you could get to know us. So I'm from the northern Utah area, and I have been married for a year now, which has been really fun and exciting. And I'm currently working as a Pilates instructor, so it's been really good.
Thanks, Kylie. Again, I'm Sabrina. I live in southern Utah, and currently I work at a mental health clinic. I do some of the marketing, and then I treat patients as well. I've been married for almost a year in June, so just a couple more months. Well, we wanted to share how Kylie and I met each other, which is, what was it, like 2 years ago now? Have we been home for 2 years now?
Oh, yeah. Yep, we have been.
A little over 2 years ago, we were on our missions together. We served in the Billings, Montana mission, which was really incredible. And we were companions for like four transfers, I think, at the end of our mission, right?
I think so. Yep.
And it was a very magical time of our lives. We got to finish at the exact same time as well, which is just, we feel like it's unheard of. It was like the most perfect way to finish our missions was being together. We've stayed friends since and been in each other's wedding lines and such. So, we're best of friends.
It's quite wonderful. It's very good. We're so glad to still keep in touch. And I had heard of Sabrina and the mission before, Sister Johansson. So I had heard of Sabrina, but I never actually met her until we both served in the Kalispell area on exchange. So that's just basically where we swapped companions for a day, and it was so fun. We had a very good time. That was when our discovery for music began, and that we both loved singing, and we both happened to have our little ukuleles, and we both really hoped that we would be companions one day. And sure enough, the Lord was very good to us.
He was very good to us. That was like a huge blessing for both of us. We were so excited that we were going to be companions because it was on that exchange we just like meshed so well. We sang for the first time with our ukuleles. We went down to this street in Big Fork, and there was like a huge white water rafting event going on, and so there were tons of people that we didn't know were gonna be there, and we just were singing to them, and it was so fun. We just were winging it and had the best time, and that was the beginning of our Sunshine Sisters.
So the Sunshine Sisters, we did not even come up with that name. It was actually from other people that came up with it, and it just kind of clicked and worked. I think it began with members and missionaries calling us the Sunshine Sisters, and it was just really cute. And sure enough, our family started calling us the Sunshine Sisters, and that's just how it began. And we really like it. So
it was like so random. Like someone would come up to us at church and be like, "Look, it's the Sunshine Sisters today," and it like stuck. It was so fun. It was so fun. And I don't know, we were always having sunshine on our souls, I guess.
I feel like it's really cool how it's coming together. It just brought such light into our lives, and I feel like the Lord was able to use that to bring light into other people's lives too. And just how perfect it was that again, like we both sang, we both played the ukulele, and we would sing everywhere, anywhere and everywhere we could find, whether that was on people's doorsteps, at gas stations,
In
in
mountains, by
mountains,
rivers, in fields. Like, it was so
everywhere.
much.
We sang every day together multiple times, and it was beautiful. And it was just so cool that the Lord could use us in that way, in a unique way, because that's definitely not something you see every day, or, missionaries singing to you. And so it was just really special, and it was a huge highlight for me on my mission that I'll never forget. And so that's something we really missed. Um, and that we really cherished a lot on our mission together.
Absolutely. It was a spiritual experience being able to sing together. It was like our voices they were always meant to sing together. That's how it felt. And that's how it feels. We feel like there's something greater that we're meant to do together.
It's so true, which is kind of why it's led us here, which we'll tell you a little more about that. But first off, we wanted to tell you a fun little fact about ourselves. So I feel like it works perfectly with our Sunshine sister name, but we both love and adore the color yellow ever since we could remember. And I don't know, at least for me, I can totally see yellow in the presence of Sabrina. She just is so joyous and brings me a lot of joy, and I just love her very much. And so I just think it's a perfect way to describe her, is yellow. So, anyways, just something fun.
Thank you. And obviously, Kylie also is everything that yellow is. And like that's just probably why we love it so much. It is happiness, it is sunshine, it is Jesus, it is glory, it is light, and Kylie definitely is the epitome of that. But we wanted to share a little bit about what the color yellow has been and meant in our lives. And I was just like pondering about how significant that's been in my life, how that's shown up in a lot of ways as this bright color that has just led me to Christ. I've had this like wristband. I don't have it anymore, but I used to wear it every day that said "Make Christ the center of your life." And it was yellow, and it was from one of my friend's brothers that had passed away that said "Make Christ the center of your life" all the time, and it just was like this bright thing, a bright reminder of God's love. And I feel like really on my mission, I grew into this like yellow persona of like, that was who I was, is yellow, and life was yellow. And of course there were challenging times and hard things. And I feel like I just grew into this whole experience I was having. I was like, oh, I know who I am. And I'm never looking back, and I'm keeping this sunshine with me forever. And it was hard to leave that behind once our missions were ending. But it wasn't very far after that I started to feel like I was losing that yellow inside of me, that wasn't who I was anymore, because I started experiencing just inner turmoil and external turmoil as challenges, trials were coming, and traumatic events, and times that I felt like I wasn't as close to God, and it felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't that sunshine, that yellow, that person that I was, and I felt like I had lost it. And I've really seen that as I was experiencing blue. Just what felt like this dark, this heaviness for a long time. And I really thought like, oh, I guess that's just what life's supposed to be. Because we're just done with that chapter of my life. And that life is just meant to be what it is now. And I'm never going to get that back. And through a lot of healing after experiencing heartbreak and experiencing family struggle is I just turned to God and I pleaded all the time that He would just bring me back to that. And I was in my new room that I had moved into. I was staying in my family's house. My old room was yellow, and I'm laying on my bed and I'm like just experiencing feelings, I guess. And I noticed that the color of my room, I thought that it was like a shade of blue before, but I was like, this is totally green. My room's totally green. And I noticed my new bedspread that I had gotten a couple months before. I was like, oh my gosh, this matches the room. Like, there's green on this. Like, this works so perfect. And I looked all around my room and I started noticing all this green in my room. And it was almost like the spirit just like spoke this thing to me of you have to experience the yellow and have to experience the blue in order to gain this depth of green. And I feel like during this time is when I was really turning to Jesus Christ, trying to heal from my hurt. And since then, I've had many experiences where I've seen green just be so significant. And not long after this, I fell in love with my now husband and found out his favorite color was green, which feels kind of silly, but at the same time, like he loves green because of his hometown and because of what he once had. And so just seeing my life turn from, instead of changing from what I thought was wonderful, I thought I would never get that back again, and I'm never gonna get that back again. Instead, I have this new richness and am seeing life in this new green color, and I need all of it. And I'm gonna see yellow, and I'm gonna see blue, and I'm gonna see green. I'm gonna experience red or whatever it is. And so I feel like that has been God's direction for who I am, who I want to be, is I'm not just that. I'm all of these colors.
So beautiful, Sabrina. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. That I just love your spirit and you are so powerful. Thank you so much. I agree on our missions. Even though there were definitely challenges and, there were some hardships, and it was one of the times in my life I feel like I grew the most for sure. And then, just like Sabrina said it was also one of the happiest times in our lives, especially when we got to be together. It was quite glorious. So, oh my goodness. But wow, things change. Things change after the mission. And I don't know if you remember, Sabrina, but that last week before we went home, that was a hard week. We kind of had a hard time. There were a lot of emotions. I feel like
Yes.
we were just that anticipation of going home, even though it was exciting. We just knew that it wouldn't be the same anymore. And so it was a tough week, I remember. And we were just trying to get through it the best we could. And sometimes there were times when we were just crying in our little apartment. And I remember Sabrina said to me, and said, Kylie, I'm so scared. I am so worried that I'm never going to feel this happy again. Like, how could anything compare, And I remember thinking that and wondering, oh my goodness, yeah, how is it going to be? And I was pretty determined at the time. I was like, oh, we can do it. Like, we're still going to, we can be this happy, with the Lord. And in ways, yes, the Lord does bring us joy, of course, similar to on our mission. I found, though, that through what we see, not just the yellow, but when we see the blue, when we see the red and the green, kind of like what Sabrina was saying, in a way, even though it's really hard, it also, I feel like, brings a more genuine joy in a way, because, I don't know, just like in the scriptures, it teaches us, we can't feel joy unless we don't know grief and sorrow and pain, and I feel like that's really come into life now since after our missions. And so that's at least something I've been learning a lot. It's maybe a different kind of joy, but it's a beautiful kind of joy, which we'll get into more. So when I got back from my mission, I think one of the biggest things I've learned is that things do not always go as planned. And I really had to learn to rely on the Lord's will and timing, because when I got back, life just kind of hit me in the face. And I had all these expectations, all these ideas of how I wanted my life to be. And it was very different from what I thought. First of all, I had a high school sweetheart, and we stayed in contact with each other throughout our missions and all of that. And it's never easy staying in contact over the mission, but I had a feeling that things were going to be looking up when I got home, that there was potential there, that we could potentially get married. And so I got home, we dated a little bit, and then when we were considering getting married, I didn't realize what challenges were ahead of us, and that hit me so hard. There were a lot of difficult things my now husband was experiencing at the time that I hadn't been aware of before, and I had known him for 5 years. And so I think that was really hard for me, because I was like, whoa, I need to know how I can support him in this trial. I need to know how I can best help him and be compassionate towards him. And and that was hard because we weren't officially engaged yet, but I had to pray a lot and search for answers to know, is this going to be worth it? Is this the right path for me, or do I just need to let it go and just start a new path? And after lots of consideration, the Lord just kept giving me those green lights that, okay, this is the path for me, and it's not what I imagined. And there were times that Spencer and I almost didn't go through with the marriage, just because there was a lot of growth and a lot of learning we had to do. And in the end, it was worth it. And I'm so glad I trusted the Lord, because I couldn't imagine my life without Spencer, and those hardships we went through is what's made us become who we are today. And it's exactly what I've needed. And I've just learned that Spencer and I's, that's my husband, Spencer, our strengths and our weaknesses complement each other really well. And I had no idea that he's exactly who I needed. And so the Lord is just so divine. And then our first year of marriage, it really was quite wonderful. It was a great first year. And then going on to our second year, I feel like I've been learning the same thing. Life doesn't go as planned. I can't always have these expectations, and that's okay. I've talked to Sabrina about this a lot, but one of my favorite scriptures, it's in Moroni. I should know the exact verse, but I'm pretty sure it's chapter 7. But it just talks about how, when we have hope, we need to have hope in the atonement of Jesus Christ, because if we have our hope and faith in him, then we won't be disappointed. And it's really easy for me to set my expectations and hopes and things outside of the Lord, to where maybe it's based on like more worldly aspects, or more like selfish aspects too. And I find whenever I set my hopes in those things, it doesn't ever go quite as well. But I'm learning that when I have hope in Jesus Christ, things go so much better, because even if things don't go maybe how I would want, I can still find joy in it, because that's just who Jesus is. He's joy, and he's love, and he's peace. And so this year has been full of lots of medical expenses. My husband's had lots of surgeries lately, and my car broke down, and so just a lot of unexpected things have been happening this year, a lot of surprises. And so I'm just learning that it's okay to have new plans. It's okay that life changes, and that's just how it is at times. And we're here to grow, we're here to learn, and I'm trying to learn that it's good to see life in different colors and not just yellow, because yellow's wonderful. It's really easy to find joy in yellow. It's been cool finding joy in the blue and in the green, in the red as well. even if it's more difficult, I become a better person because of that.
That was so well said. And I really love that you brought in hope. And that scripture, every time I read that scripture, I think of you, Kylie, in Moroni. It's so crazy you bring that up because I was thinking a lot about that this week and just that same thought that we can't hope in the world. The world will always let us down. And when we have these desires or want things the way that we want them, like I wanted my life to be a certain way and I wanted to be a certain way for the rest of my life. I thought that I'd made it and I thought that this is what it's gonna be. This is who I'm gonna marry. This is what I'm gonna do with my life. And we're only a couple years into this experience. Like we still have so far to go. And life is gonna continue to do that. And I feel like God is so merciful and the Lord is so kind to show this this truth is that we really can only hope in Jesus Christ. And when we do, he makes all aspects of our lives beautiful. And we have to experience the opposition. We have to experience temptation. We have to experience depression. We have to experience sadness, anxiety, whatever it is. Like we have to experience all these things. And we also get to experience so much and feel God's love throughout it all. He makes it beautiful, makes a painting with all these colors, makes it a masterpiece. And seeing the people that we become from it, we might not think that we're becoming something, but Kylie, like I see you in I've always seen you in such a beautiful light and such a strong, powerful person. And now even more as we've experienced depth and you've experienced these things, like we get to have these conversations. And that's been like the most fulfilling thing for me is as we've kept in contact, we're experiencing these same feelings and it's necessary and it's needed and it brings us together and it brings us close to God. Really, that's what's led us to this podcast is why we're doing this is because we need to share us having these connections together. We're like, this cannot solely be just for us to experience. Maybe someone that's listening needs to hear this small thing the Lord wants them to know because as he's sharing this with us, he's going to continue to bless his children. And we want to be a part of that. We want to share God's light and we still love God's light. Even if it might look different from what we thought it was, it's still the same. It's still the same God, still the same love, still the same Christ. And that's the best feeling. And why wouldn't we want to share more of it?
Light is just one person. It's worth it to us,
True.
you know? He just loves you all. He loves you all so much. And I know there's times in our lives where maybe it's difficult to feel that, you know, but he's always there. That's something I'm learning. He's always there and we're never alone. And I love how the Lord shows us that love in the most simplest of ways, whether it's through a little video you're watching, whether it's through a song you hear or the sunshine you feel on your skin. It's beautiful. Christ is simple and he's just glorious. And I'm just so grateful for him and everything that he's done for us.
I love that. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who has listened to this. We're excited to continue to share our experiences and thoughts. So tune in each week as we continue our podcast with you and share it with your friends and family. We hope you feel God's love and light today, no matter where it comes from.
We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for listening.
Bye!
Bye!